Most cruisers treat inside cabins like some kind of curse. No windows, no views, and walls so close you could high-five yourself from bed. Some even joke it's like sleeping inside a shoebox. That's floating in the middle of the ocean. And yet, I keep booking them, over and over again. After more than 30 cruises and saving thousands of dollars, I've learned this unpopular cabin is one of the smartest travel hacks in cruising. And one balcony trip in particular, let's just say it convinced me I'll never go back. It's not glamorous, it's not Instagram pretty, but it's the reason I've been able to sail more often, go farther, and actually enjoy my vacations without draining my wallet. So today, I'm breaking down the 11 biggest reasons I'll almost always choose an inside cabin over a balcony, even when I could easily afford the upgrade. Some of these might surprise you, and one of them comes from a balcony experience I deeply regretted. By the end of this video, you might just see that the cabin everyone avoids could be your smartest booking decision yet. Here's the thing, if I didn't book inside cabins, I'd probably cruise half as often as I do now. No exaggeration. These rooms have saved me thousands over the years. While other passengers drop extra cash on ocean views or balconies they barely set foot on, I'm stretching my budget and turning one vacation into two. I once compared two identical sailings, same ship, same itinerary, same dates, and the inside cabin was $900 cheaper. According to Cruise Fever, a balcony stateroom costs on average 64.5% more than an interior cabin. In some cases, that difference can reach 100%. Recent sailings of Carnival's Mardi Gras 7-night Caribbean, for example, showed interior cabins starting around $879 per person, while balconies started near $1,257, a price gap of roughly 43%. That's enough to cover a full Caribbean shore excursion package, upgrade my flights, and grab the unlimited drinks package, all without spending a dime extra. And that's just one trip. Imagine doubling your cruise calendar every single year. Here's the micro hack. Book early, but never stop checking prices. Cruise fares can drop weeks before departure, and if you haven't hit the final payment date, you can often rebook at the lower rate. I've saved hundreds mid-booking without doing much more than making a quick call. Inside cabins aren't a downgrade. They're my secret weapon for cruising more, spending less, and saying yes to trips I wouldn't take otherwise. And saving money wasn't even the biggest surprise. It also bought me something I didn't know I needed: total peace. It sounds strange, but the boring inside cabin is often the calmest spot on the ship. No promenade noise drifting up to your window, no late-night karaoke echoing through the walls, no kids racing down the hallway in a sugar rush after dessert. I found this out the noisy way. I once booked a promenade view cabin because it sounded fun, people watching from my window, feeling like I was in the middle of the action. But by midnight, I realized the action never stopped. Music thumping, glasses clinking, conversations floating up like I was eavesdropping on strangers without meaning to. The next cruise, I went back to an inside cabin tucked between other guest rooms, far from theaters, elevators, and bars. The result? A level of calm I didn't know existed on a cruise ship. I could read, work on my laptop, or just zone out without a single distraction. I actually had to check my phone once to make sure I hadn't accidentally slept through a port day. For anyone who values a stress-free retreat, that kind of uninterrupted calm is priceless. And it set me up perfectly for something every cruiser secretly wants: amazing, deep, can't wake me up sleep. Here's what I didn't see coming. The cheapest cabins on the ship also gave me the best rest of my life at sea. No balcony, no windows, no rogue sunlight slipping through the curtains, just complete blackout darkness, like sleeping inside a cocoon made for professional nappers. When I stayed in a balcony cabin, the morning sun blasted me awake at 6 a.m. every single day. Beautiful? Sure, but also a cruel alarm clock I didn't sign up for. Back in an inside cabin, I could nap at 3 p.m., and my body still thought it was the middle of the night. It's the kind of sleep where you wake up not knowing if it's 6 a.m. or 6 p.m., and you honestly don't care. 9 hours could pass in what felt like minutes, and I'd wake up feeling like my battery had gone from red to 100%. And when I wasn't happily lost in that blissful darkness, I discovered something else. These little rooms are far smarter and far more functional than most people give them credit for. People love to assume inside cabins are cramped, awkward, and a little depressing. Truth is, they're like the tiny homes of the cruise world, compact but shockingly well thought out. The first time I booked one, I half expected to be tripping over my suitcase and shuffling sideways to get to the bed. Instead, I walked into a space that felt engineered. A queen bed, a surprisingly generous closet, a vanity that doubled as a desk, drawers deep enough to hide a small shopping spree, and little hidden shelves I didn't even notice on day one. It's like the cruise line played Tetris with furniture and somehow won. Because the space is smaller, every inch is intentional. And unless you're planning to spend most of your cruise in your room, spoiler, you won't, you'll realize you're not missing anything except empty space you'd pay extra for and never use. But here's another thing I didn't expect. Inside cabins also saved me from one of the weirdest forms of cruise pressure. Have you ever bought something expensive and then felt like you had to use it constantly just to justify the price? That's exactly what happened the time I upgraded to a suite. It was gorgeous, huge balcony, cushy sofa, priority boarding. But a few days in, I realized I was skipping shows, dinners, even late-night karaoke, just to sit on my balcony because, well, I'd paid for it. Instead of doing what I actually wanted, I was chasing this weird sense of getting my money's worth. And honestly, it kind of ruined the trip. I wasn't vacationing anymore. I was babysitting my balcony. Inside cabins don't do that to you. You shower, you sleep, and you head out. No guilt about wasting the room. No mental math about whether you've used the balcony enough. Just freedom to spend your cruise exactly how you want, whether that's poolside with a frozen drink or dancing in the atrium until midnight. But if you do miss the view, there's a trick that fakes it so well, your brain can't tell the difference. If I told you some inside cabins still have a view, would you believe me? I didn't, until I stepped into one. On newer Royal Caribbean ships, select inside cabins come with a virtual balcony, a floor-to-ceiling HD screen streaming live footage from outside the ship. Sunrise over the ocean? You see it. Docking in a bustling port? You're there. Watching the wake stretch out behind the ship? Feels like you're leaning on the railing. It's basically a screensaver you can walk into. The first time I walked into one, I honestly thought I'd been upgraded by mistake. Norwegian takes it a step further with virtual windows in their solo cabins, making small rooms feel warmer and more open. Carnival has some interior with picture window rooms that face an interior promenade, so you get light without paying balcony prices. Princess offers obstructed view ocean view rooms that are often only slightly more than an inside, giving you a hint of natural light without a big jump in cost. Sure, you can't feel the sea breeze or smell the salt air, but the illusion of space and connection to the outside world is enough to make even the most claustrophobic traveler breathe easier. And unlike the real thing, it comes with zero risk of a neighbor ruining your morning coffee. On an Iceland cruise, I decided to treat myself, splurged on a balcony cabin. I pictured slow mornings with coffee in hand, watching glaciers drift by. Instead, here's what I got. Neighbors who apparently thought the no smoking rule was just a suggestion. Cigarettes, cigars, even a few puffs of something that's definitely not legal at sea. Every time I opened my balcony door, I got a face full of smoke instead of fresh Arctic air. Once you smell secondhand smoke in sub-zero Iceland, you never forget it. I reported it, and the crew handled it professionally, but the damage was done. Those first few days were wasted, and the balcony I'd paid extra for became a door I barely wanted to open. Inside cabins, you'll never have that problem. No smoke drifting in, no awkward glances over the divider, no unexpected audience when you're trying to relax. Just four walls, total privacy, and peace of mind. So instead of paying for a problem, I put that money towards something better, more cruising. When your cabin costs less, your calendar suddenly gets way more interesting. With inside cabins, I can jump on last-minute deals, extend trips, or swap itineraries without my budget screaming at me. One time, I was set to sail the Caribbean, but then I spotted an unbelievable fare for a Baltic cruise. Same travel dates, totally different adventure. Because my cabin cost was low, I switched without a second thought. It's like turning one ticket into a golden pass for adventures you didn't even plan. The money you save can cover a second cruise in the same year, upgrade your flights, or fund that once-in-a-lifetime shore excursion you've been eyeing. Take MSC Seascape's Eastern Caribbean sailing, for example. Inside cabins were around $569 per person, while balconies started at about $799. That $230 difference per person could easily cover a full shore excursion package or even your onboard drinks. And if you think that only matters for big bucket list trips, short cruises make the case even stronger. On shorter sailings, 3, maybe 4 nights, you're barely in your cabin anyway. You're at the pool, hitting the buffet, catching shows, exploring ports. By the time you're back in your room, it's just to crash and shower. I learned this on a quick 3-day trip to the Bahamas. My friends booked balconies, thinking they'd spend mornings out there with coffee. In reality, we were all rushing to breakfast, racing to shore excursions, or staying out so late, the only thing they saw from that balcony was the inside of their eyelids. Meanwhile, my cabin cost less than their bar tab. But the real knockout blow for balconies? When the weather doesn't play nice. Balcony fans don't like to admit this, but bad weather can turn that must-have feature into dead space. I learned that in Alaska, where the rain felt like it came at you sideways and the wind could knock over your coffee cup. For days, balcony doors stayed shut, and guests were wrapped in blankets inside, staring at a soggy view they couldn't enjoy. It's like paying for a convertible, then spending the whole week in the garage. Meanwhile, in my inside cabin, cozy, dry, and not a trace of FOMO. I spent that time in the spa, sipping lattes in the cafe, or catching live music in the lounge, completely guilt-free because I hadn't paid extra for a balcony I couldn't use. And if you're traveling solo, inside cabins have one more surprise up their sleeve. Cruising solo used to mean paying a single supplement that could double your fare, basically a tax for traveling alone. Inside cabins are changing that game. Some cruise lines like Norwegian now design inside staterooms specifically for solo travelers. They're smaller, cozier, and priced without that brutal supplement. I once sailed on Norwegian Epic in one of these and saved nearly $200 compared to a standard cabin. It felt perfectly snug, like a tiny hotel room designed just for you. No awkward stairs, no empty bed next to you. And because I wasn't blowing my budget on the cabin, I could splurge on specialty dining, a massage, and even a guided shore excursion without thinking twice. Bonus tip, many ships with solo cabins also host meetups or have dedicated lounges. Perfect spots to meet other travelers without feeling like the odd one out. You can be as social or as independent as you want. After all these perks, from cost savings to better sleep to complete privacy, it really comes down to one question. Who's the ideal cruiser for an inside cabin? If you're traveling on a budget and want to stretch your cruise dollars as far as possible, this is the easiest win you'll ever take. Skip the balcony, grab an inside cabin, and use the savings for shore tours, drink packages, or my personal favorite, booking your next cruise. If your itinerary is port heavy and you're off the ship all day, why pay for a view you won't be there to see? But if you're sailing somewhere where the scenery is the experience, like Alaska, Norway, or Iceland, then yes, waking up to glaciers, fjords, or volcanoes from your balcony might be worth it. Same goes if you love slow mornings in your robe with room service and ocean air. For me, the savings and the memories always add up to one clear choice: inside cabins. And that's why I almost always choose an inside cabin. It's not about settling for less. It's about making cruising fit my lifestyle and my budget, so I can sail more often and enjoy everything the ship and destinations have to offer. Now I want to hear from you. What's your go-to cabin choice and why? Your story might just convince someone to try their first inside cabin and love it. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell so you don't miss my next cruise tip. And hey, share it with a friend who's planning their first cruise. You might just save them a few $100s. See you on deck.